Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the SCB Steelers Inside Blitz for December 2nd, 2025. We are presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. We have this great platform provided to us by Variety Sports Network. And of course, the show comes to you from the Frank Walker Law over my shoulder studio. And we're a few days out now since the Steelers probably put together their worst performance of the entire 2025 season and dropping that game to Buffalo, where the Bills ran for 250 yards and limited the Steelers to 66 total yards, I think. It's hard to believe the Steelers led 7-3 at halftime. And then, of course, the very first play of the second half is when things turned and it just got worse and worse and worse. And so here we are. We find ourselves, believe it or not, 6-6, tied with Baltimore at the top of the AFC North with 5 games remaining. 2 of those, one of which is this coming Sunday, against the Baltimore Ravens. So, believe it or not, my friends, the Steelers still largely control their own fate as the season goes. I think the hard part about what we witnessed on Sunday is just the simple fact that any of us would even imagine that this team is going to suddenly turn it around for any of these final 5 games, let alone all 5. So I think there is a real apathy, and who the hell could blame us as fans right now? I sense it from the players. I sense it from Mike Tomlin. I just do. But we'll talk much more about the game coming up on the regular podcast coming up Thursday night, 10 p.m. right here, live on our YouTube channel and also on X. We might actually try going live on Facebook this time too. We haven't done that yet. In any case, today the Steelers made several different moves. Number one, they parted ways with Darius Slay. He went to them and said, "Hey, writing seems to be on the wall, and I would prefer to try to finish my career in a little different situation." The Steelers, as they usually do with veterans, they agreed to that and released him. And then they immediately moved Sante Samuel Jr. to the active roster, which was an important move. And the big reason why is just simply because somebody could have come in with a much better offer had he still remained on that practice squad. And they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to lose any more depth there in the secondary. So good move to do that. And they also have signed off waivers from the Minnesota Vikings, Adam Thielen. And, you know, the Steelers have become like that version of the Redskins several years back when they were signing Bruce Smith and Deion Sanders and all of these guys late in their careers, hoping that they would catch fire, maybe one last run to a Super Bowl. And Thielen was a 2-time Pro Bowler. He's got all of 8 receptions this year. I honestly, I don't know what they're really expecting him to do. Provide some veteran leadership, provide some examples of how to handle yourself on the field, off the field, in the locker room. I really don't know. Does it reek of desperation a little bit? But then I have to wonder, where's MVS? Where's Valdez Scantling? What you telling me he can't get a helmet? What on earth happened to that? So there's a lot of questions, and I'm really curious, to be honest with you. I'm curious to see what Darius Slay does, because if he goes to another team and actually plays well, that's not going to look good for Mike Tomlin and the coaching staff. It's not going to look good at all. But that's for a whole other discussion. I wanted to focus tonight on just a couple of things outside of what I already have, which one of those things tonight is Aaron Rodgers. And I think what we're seeing with him is kind of what we thought we would see. The arm strength is still there. That's not an issue. The processing and the ability to see what's happening, that seems to still be there. But there are declines, and they have really kind of gone on all season long. I don't know if you've noticed this, but he seems to be getting through maybe one or two reads now before I would describe it as the shit hitting the fan before he bails in the pocket or throws the ball away. He wasn't doing that the first few weeks of the season. He was much more comfortable. He was much more willing to allow receivers to get open, and that's gone. I don't see that out of him at all. I don't know what you guys are seeing, but that's definitely something that I'm seeing right now. And look, I get to a certain extent that maybe he's a little gun shy because he's taken some shots behind an offensive line that has had a very up and down season. I get that, but at the same time, he just looks, and the word I keep coming back to is skittish. He just looks, he gets back there, he gets hopping on the feet, and if that first second read isn't there, it's just like, oh God, what's he going to do with it? Where's it going? And so many times it's just a check down, and I mean, we just don't throw the ball down the field anymore. We don't, and if we do, it appears to be on a 3rd and short, and we run a go route down the sideline, which that harkens back to the days of Big Ben at times where we were doing that. I just don't understand that concept, that theory. Get the damn first down, especially in the situations that they were in these games. I don't get it, but be that as it may. I believe Rodgers is done. I appreciate the toughness he showed the other night coming back in. The guy is playing with what is reported 3 different fractures in his wrist. I give him credit for that. But his game has diminished. And I was hopeful that Mason Rudolph might show something and might be able to, I don't want to say steal the starting job from Rodgers by any stretch, but I was hopeful he would at least be able to play better. And, number one, they keep him in the pistol, which you can't adjust. Is the game plan so concrete that you can't let Rudolph go under center or be in the shotgun? You had to keep that exact game plan. I mean, this is not high school. But again, frustrations on their part, frustrations on my part. So Rodgers, as long as he feels good enough, he'll get the start coming up this week. But I think this is it for him. Even if he did come to the Steelers and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about coming back," I would move on. I think they need to, and I think they have to at this point. The other thing I wanted to bring up was Mike Tomlin, and I spent a lot of time on Tomlin last week after the Chicago loss. But there's been a couple of things that have come up, and I guess what I don't understand is why are they waiting till now? Okay, Ben Roethlisberger, James Harrison, amongst other former players, pundits, making comments about, well, it's time for Mike to part ways with the Steelers. The Steelers need to move on. What changed in the last 3 weeks that all of a sudden made these guys come to that realization? I've been saying this for the last 2 to 3 years, and it's not that I don't like Mike. I like Mike a lot as a person. I think he's a good coach. I totally agree with what James Harrison said. He's a good coach, not a great coach. All right. And there's not too many people that can be great coaches. I think he is a good coach, but I am a huge believer that you can be in one place too long. I am a huge believer that the guys that play for you lack motivation. They lack fear. They lack that want to, because they get too damn comfortable. All right. And I go back to the famous story about Cortez reaching Mexico and burning his ships to motivate his troops in order to build there. And I think that's what the Steelers need. The Steelers need to burn it down, not entirely, because obviously there's some young pieces there, but burn it down and rebuild it. Okay. And do that with a new style of offense, a new style of defense. These two coordinators are they're not good. They're not good at all. It's a constant week to week mess. I don't even there's other words for it, but I'll try to be as adult as I can. It's just brutal to watch. And so to hear Big Ben and to hear Harrison make these comments, I just don't understand why they haven't made them before. Did they think something was going to change? Because it wasn't going to change, and it hasn't changed. Everything is still very stale. It doesn't change. They can't adjust. For the life of me, how many times was Buffalo going to run into the line and pop it out wide? No contain, no coaching to address that. None at all. Some of the alignments that were being made defensively were just completely bonkers. I did not understand a lot of what was happening. And maybe I'm not meant to understand a lot of what was happening, but holy shit, was it frustrating watching that. And I think that's the point we're at. Now, am I saying that Mike Tomlin is going to be fired? No. Mike Tomlin will leave when Mike Tomlin wants to leave, or he will leave when Art Rooney, too, goes to him and says, Mike, we love you, but it's time for you to see some new environment and for us to see new environment, and we think you should step down. Okay? The word fire is not going to exist with Mike Tomlin. It's just not. Okay? If you don't know that by now, then you haven't paid attention to the Pittsburgh Steelers over the last 50 years. Okay? They're not going to fire him. What I do think could happen if this thing really goes south, and by really goes south, I mean they end up maybe 7-10, God forbid 6-11, then I think he's going to be told, you have to change your coordinators, and you let your coordinators coach. You oversee things. You're the CEO. You're not going to be hands-on as much as you've been. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic that that's what happens. I don't know. But at the end of the day, there are issues. You can't have your defensive captain, a truly great Steeler, going and getting an unsportsmanlike taunting penalty after the other team scores. Seriously. What are we doing? There were other unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. There was just so many moments in that game that just spelled it all out. I think if anybody was sitting in that crowd, anybody that was watching on TV, anybody in that owner's box, Art, I don't know how you could have looked down upon that and thought anything positive. You know, the effort wasn't there. The enthusiasm wasn't there. I haven't seen this team be enthusiastic since I think week 1 of the preseason, to be honest. Things have to change. And we've said that before, and I'm hopeful that it will happen. But I'm also realistic, and I'm realistic to the point that I'm concerned it won't. And we're going to just keep doing this over and over and over again. But that's why we're here. Make sure you check us out this Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. We will be live on our YouTube channel, also on the X, Twitter, whatever the hell it is. And anyway, thanks very much for spending 13 and a half minutes or whatever listening to me rant and throw out my opinion. Love you guys, and we will definitely see you on Thursday night. As always, go Steelers. We've had some drinks.